Polestar have made this version of the Polestar 2, in their own words, for EV tech nerds. This is the BST version of the Polestar 2. BST is simply short for Beast. 476 brake horsepower, all-wheel drive. Think of a Polestar 2 performance with a bit extra. Lighter drilled Brembos, an aluminium strut across the front of the car. This controversial strip, if you want it. Now, I've seen lots of reviews saying it also covers the glass roof. In this car, it actually doesn't. So you're kind of getting the best of both worlds, but that is an optional extra. If you want to stay incognito, don't get it. The wheels on the Polestar 2 BST are straight off a Polestar 1. But apart from that on the outside, you really would struggle to know that this is anything a bit more special. It still has a 78 kilowatt hour battery, which is good for realistically about 300 kilometers, although this is part of the long range pack that you'll get on a lesser Polestar 2. This version of the car in Ireland is €85,000. And the 270 significance is, well, yeah, you guessed it. There's only 270 of these going to be made. 40 odd going to the UK. This one is possibly for sale, and there's one other in the country that has just been sold, which looks fantastic in this kind of grey that you can get. And there's also a wrap version. There's 3 colours that you can get in Polestar 2 BST. The car does sit a good 25 millimeters lower than a standard Polestar 2 performance. Also, it'll do 155 kilowatt charging speed, less than 40 minutes to get to 90% if you're using up to that type of charging. And in the back, well, again, apart from the copper, orange, gold, whatever you want to call them, seat belts, the back of the vehicle looks just like a Polestar 2. Much like the front of the vehicle, one obvious difference is a G meter, which also doubles up as a timer that will cover your 0 to 50, 80, I think 120 kilometers per hour, which kind of just encourages you to test out how much grip this car has from a standing start. To give Polestar absolute credit, they have put these adjustable Olin dampers in the front of the vehicle, and there's ones on the rear, but you have to jack the car up to manipulate them. It's kind of a bit of a tease. Yeah, you can tinker around at the front, but at the back, you're gonna need a jack and possibly a workshop to go messing around with things. But they have done what a lot of EVs lack. Yes, it'll go fast in a straight line, but these damper adjustments with the car means that it just goes around a bend an awful lot better. So it's like the quick in a straight line performance that you can expect from a whole host of EVs, but actually this thing is actually a lot of fun to drive in all cases. It has been a while since I've driven the performance version of the Polestar 2. However, I can remember from memory that it was damn quick. Like straight line, really like more than you'd ever need. And I haven't had this car on a track, but there's been occasions and roads like I'm on today with twists and crests, and you do feel that the suspension just manages to handle it all a little bit better. It will step out ever so slightly if you wanted to. You can't fully turn off the traction aids. You can dial them back in a bit, all right. It is still a 2.1 ton car, so they haven't made any weight savings to the actual vehicle, which is maybe somewhere the Polestar could have shaved a few pounds off. Maybe the interior just could be a little bit fancier, because really, apart from the seat belts, there's nothing inside this vehicle to make you think that it's anything special, apart from how it goes around bends. And I really will be struggling to remember, it's like on my right hand, the amount of EVs I've driven that have the same balance as this car and can go around a bend without needing any huge levels of braking. Speaking of which, regen and stuff like that, there's no messing around with paddles and changing different settings. It just does it by itself. There's no strange sport modes or anything fancy like that. It's all quite simple. The only real thing that you can mess around with is what is effectively launch control, with a timer that will tell you exactly how quickly you've gone to speeds that the guards might want to chat to you about. It's also worth pointing out that it is a significantly less range. So this is based on the longer range version, but as soon as you use all those 476 horses, the range just isn't going to be there. And thankfully, the charging speeds mean you can just grab 10 or 15 minutes here and there, chuck in 100 or so kilometers in a quick enough space of time. It also has an 11 kilowatt onboard charger as standard, so using even your on-street chargers should kind of keep you ticking over if you're going in for lunch or dinner somewhere. But to be honest with you, even explaining what a Polestar is kind of gets repetitive, because people will stop you and they will say, what is that? And especially this version of the car, it gets an awful lot of attention on the roads. And you can explain, well, they're Volvo and they're in turn on by somebody else. But once you make that connection, it's fine. But there are a lot of people saying, what make is that? Like, the Polestar badge is quite discreet in the front. And yes, if you know your cars and you'll know a Polestar logo, that'll be obvious to you. But for a lot of people, that just may not be the case. Thing is, though, a lot of EVs will go fast in a straight line just because of the electric torque that's there, and there's generally a decent amount of brake horsepower to go with it. But this thing actually kind of practices what it preaches, in that it just does handle that complete bit better. And also the brakes, like, you still get the odd bit where it's not exactly sure is it using regen or friction, but by and large this car stops in the same way a performance petrol car, that way you'd expect it to stop. Turning in is definitely an awful lot more fun. So the car that you can compare this to, because the price is identical, is the EV6, the GT version of it, and this is definitely the more engaging car to drive. The Kia is one of those cars that definitely benefits from being able to go fast in a straight line, but when it comes to handling, this would definitely have the edge. Not that it probably matters if you can afford this kind of money in a car, but generally 22 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers is where the consumption is sitting, and it ain't budging either better or poorer. It's just 22 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers. Dare I say it, all that's missing is kind of the sound of a lovely petrol engine, because it really does drive as close as an EV is going to be able to do to a performance petrol. I think if you want a kind of relatively affordable, like hot saloon EV, then this is probably as far as you're going to need to go. The Audi badge will definitely take less explaining to do with people. In fact, there is a Polestar 2 right behind me in black, a lot more discreet, but to see two on a kind of back road in the back arse of nowhere is kind of a bit weird. Not what I was expecting. It does come with a caveat, however, that, you know, you probably would need to get this thing onto a track to really truly enjoy the performance capabilities of it and the handling of it, because there's no doubt that many other cars, many other EVs, and in fact just the standard Polestar, especially with the performance pack, will do 90% of what this car will do, because you've got to kind of push it on to its limits to really see where, okay, yeah, no, I get it now. In fact, the other version of the BST that is just sold in Sandyford, the person who ordered it didn't even want the stripe on the outside. So apart from that kind of special looking grey paint, it just doesn't look any way different to a Polestar 2. There's no doubt though, the way this thing shifts from a standstill defies your brain. Kind of, you're going, whoa, the burst of power out of it is insane, and it gives you that kind of free-falling feeling in your stomach as soon as you hit that throttle. So look, if power and great corners are part of your driving routine, and you love Polestar and you love something that really will be an awful lot of fun to drive, it really could be the car for you. But it's going to be very, very difficult for you to get your hands on one, bearing in mind there's only 270 ever going to be made. The Polestar 2 BST is true to its word in the sense of what Polestar is saying about EV nerds are probably the people who will opt for it if you can get your hands on one, and if you want to spend, let's face it, about €20,000 above and beyond the performance version of the Polestar 2, which is probably enough for just about anybody. It is a little bit better in corners, it is a little bit quicker around the track, but you have to ask yourself, how much will I want to pay for that privilege, which probably won't be used a whole lot of times. But if you do get one and you hold on to it, you could be looking at something that maybe will hold on to its premium because it's that extra little bit special. Thank you very much for watching this review of the Polestar 2 BST, and I'll talk to you in the next one.